Welcome to the Digital Studio. Today, we are setting the stage to absolutely crack the Cambridge Accounting 9706 syllabus. I am stepping into the shoes of an elite Cambridge assessment curriculum architect to give you the ultimate masterclass on a topic that routinely makes or breaks exam results. We're talking about capital and revenue, income and expenditure. Now listen, if you want to dissect complex, high-tariff questions, manage your exam time like a top-tier candidate, and truly understand how examiners analyze your problem-solving skills, you are in the exact right place. We are going deep today, so let's get right into it.
The difference between a B and an A star in accounting often comes down to how well you understand capital and revenue, income and expenditure. And guys, this isn't just some exaggeration to get your attention. It is a fundamental truth backed by years of grueling Cambridge principal examiner reports. Grasping this distinction is literally the foundational logic upon which your balance sheets and income statements rely. Get this wrong and the errors cascade violently through your entire paper. Now, before we get to the core concepts, I want you to put on what I call the examiner's lens. When you are looking at a high-tariff, 15-mark question, you can't just dive in blindly. You need to look at the anatomy of the command words. There's a massive difference between being asked to analyze versus evaluate, or explain versus to what extent. Explain just ask for the what and the why, but to what extent, that demands a judgment call. Analyze wants you to break down the pieces, while evaluate requires you to weigh those pieces and make a concluding recommendation. Keep this examiner's lens in mind because it's exactly what's going to unlock those top marking bands.
To secure that top mark, here is our strategic roadmap for today. First, core principles. Second, the procedural framework. Third, critical analysis. And finally, the top examiner traps.
Section 1. Core Principles. Let's lay the groundwork.
You are assessed on 3 specific cognitive domains, or as examiners call them, assessment objectives. You've got AO1, knowledge and understanding, you've got AO2, analysis, and you've got AO3, evaluation. Now, knowledge is just your entry ticket into the exam hall. It's knowing the basic black and white definitions. For instance, knowing that when a manufacturing plant buys a brand new delivery van, that is a capital expenditure. But buying fuel for that exact same van, that's a revenue expenditure. Pretty simple, right? But here is the secret. To reach the absolute peak of the marking pyramid, you must master analysis and evaluation. Why did the business buy the van in the first place? How does the depreciation of that newly acquired asset impact the income statement over the next 5 years? The Cambridge framework explicitly prioritizes this analytical depth over superficial rote memorization. What examiners really want to see is your logical, highly structured reasoning when you are asked to categorize complex, ambiguous transactions. To do this perfectly every time, I want you to start using the 3-step question scan. Highlight the command word, identify the core content knowledge required, and pinpoint the hidden constraints in the prompt.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, this right here is the dividing line between average and elite candidates. Superficial understanding treats these rules as isolated, disconnected puzzle pieces. It's like memorizing that machine repairs are always, without fail, revenue expenses. But conceptual mastery, that's about connecting the gears. Top candidates see the entire financial ecosystem. Let's imagine a scenario. Imagine you're in a study suite with 2 peers. Let's call them Alex and Sam. They're looking at a 15-mark question about a massive factory upgrade. Alex is highly technical, brilliant at memorizing formulas. Alex says, look, it says repair right here in the prompt. We just list it as a revenue expense and move on, fact. But Sam, who's a much more creative, big-picture thinker, pushes back. Sam says, wait a minute. Look at the context. This specific repair actually upgraded the machine's capacity beyond its original state. It's now producing 20% more goods per hour. Sam is absolutely right. Because of that upgrade, that specific cost suddenly transforms from a revenue expense into a capital expenditure. But here's the catch. While Sam has the right conceptual argument, Sam struggles to structure that answer on the page, whereas Alex has the structure but the wrong analysis. You need to combine both. You need the paragraph balance formula. State the fact, apply it to the specific scenario, and explain the long-term financial impact. Examiners award massive points for spotting these nuances. It's about recognizing precise causal relationships and cross-topic connections.
Section 2. The procedural framework. Let's get into the technical methodology.
Okay, I'm going to pause our session right here for a quick, crucial message. We are just about to dive into the absolute hardest part of this procedure, the exact moments where students freeze up under exam pressure. If you want to make sure you never miss out on these weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button for the channel Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels. That's at @AceTheExam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications by clicking that bell icon so you are the first to get every single exam hack we drop. Okay, let's get back to it. In Cambridge exams, marks are heavily awarded for the process itself. This is what we call the method mark strategy. Here is your 5-step framework. First, identify the key elements. Second, apply the relevant principles. Third, execute your analysis with clear working. Fourth, verify your results. And fifth, present it all in the appropriate format. Now, let's go back to our students, Alex and Sam. They are actively drafting a model response paragraph by paragraph on the digital board. The scenario is that a manufacturing plant signs a long-term lease for a new factory space. They correctly identify the lease, but then they hit a massive roadblock. Time is ticking, and their mathematical workings for the annual prepayments are becoming a scattered, unreadable mess on the page. They're arguing over how to link the calculation back to the final statement. If you do this in an exam, examiners literally cannot award you those method marks, even if your final answer is miraculously right. You have to lay out your thought process logically, step by step, so the examiner can follow your exact methodology.
All right, I want you to lean in right now because we are moving into an immersive visual workshop. Imagine a complex, dense data table on your screen detailing a company's expenditures for the year. I'm putting a 60-second visual countdown timer on the clock in my mind, and your job is to extract the truth. Successfully navigating those 5 procedural steps we just talked about requires rigorous, high-speed data interpretation. You must extract crucial financial data from texts and tables, interpret the relationships, and draw evidence-based conclusions. Let's say you spot a line item for loan interest payment. Is that loan interest for constructing a brand new warehouse, a capital, or a revenue cost? You have to be a financial detective. You're parsing through the scenario to find the specific clues that dictate whether an expenditure benefits just the current accounting period or if it extends into future years, creating an asset. This isn't passive reading. This is active, strategic extraction.
Section 3. Critical Analysis. Let's elevate this to the evaluation stage. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate. Say it with me, internalize it. This is the dynamic cognitive loop required for high-tariff problem solving. First, deconstruct the complex scenario. Let's say our manufacturing plant has just spent $50,000 overhauling their entire IT infrastructure. Next, solve it systematically. This is where Alex and Sam get unstuck. They use this exact loop to rewrite their flawed, messy paragraph into a flawless, full-mark response. They systematically break down which parts of that $50,000 are for brand new hardware, which is capital, versus routine software maintenance, which is revenue. Finally, and listen closely because this is where the A-star marks live, evaluate. Check your results for reasonableness and make justified recommendations based on the overall financial health of the business. You need a last 5 minutes review checklist to ensure you've actually evaluated the impact on profit and asset valuation rather than just stating the numbers. Examiners actively, hungrily look for this 3-part loop when candidates tackle the hardest questions on the paper.
Time for the second part of our interactive workshop, Spot the Flaw. I'm going to present a poorly written student answer, and I want you to mentally highlight the errors. Imagine a student writes, "The software overhaul is a revenue expense because software is just used daily." Did you catch the flaws? To truly nail the evaluation step and prove evidence quality, you have to dissect the assumptions. The flaw in that student's answer is a massive unstated assumption. What assumption are they making about the software's long-term value to the company? Are they blindly assuming it will only be useful for this current financial year? If you don't identify the limitations of the data, note the assumptions being made, and weigh alternative interpretations, you are leaving points on the table. Recognizing these alternatives and explicitly explaining their effect on your final conclusions shows the examiner that you truly understand the subjective, nuanced nature of accounting policies. Explaining the why behind your choice is the absolute secret to unlocking those highest marking bands.
Section 4. Top Examiner Traps. Pay close attention because this is where marks bleed. I have gone through countless principal examiner reports, and these are the top 3 devastating mistakes that consistently ruin otherwise perfect responses. First trap, confusing cause and effect. Students often fail to grasp the big picture. For instance, treating a revenue expense, like routine factory maintenance, as a capital expenditure isn't just a tiny categorization error. It artificially inflates the company's asset values on the statement of financial position, and it falsely inflates the gross profit for the year. It completely misrepresents the financial health of the business to shareholders. It's a massive domino effect. Second trap, forgetting format and presentation. As we saw with Alex and Sam earlier, correct math paired with poor terminology or a sloppy layout loses points immediately. Do not do all the hard cognitive work, only to fail on presentation. Third trap, providing answers that are not specific to the context given. And honestly, this third trap is so dangerous it deserves its own dedicated warning.
Examiner alert. Look at the screen. This is the classic, most heartbreaking mistake I see as a curriculum architect, providing generic, robotic textbook answers. Never, ever just memorize a dictionary definition of capital expenditure and paste it onto the exam page. You must always link your reasoning to the specific business scenario provided in the prompt.
Let's go back to our manufacturing plant upgrading a textile machine. Your answer must specifically reference that exact textile machine, the conditions on the factory floor, and exactly how the upgrade impacts that specific plant's daily production capacity. If you just write down, capital expenditure is an asset bought for long-term use, the examiner will sigh, pull out their red pen, and award 0 marks for application. 0. You absolutely have to ground the theoretical knowledge in the living, breathing reality of the business scenario provided.
Now, when you are under extreme exam pressure, your brain can freeze. To combat this, I want you to use a visual story method to encode these concepts deeply into your memory. Close your eyes for a second and picture a massive, heavy iron anvil sitting on a solid brick foundation. That anvil is your capital expenditure. It is the permanent, heavy infrastructure required for the business to even exist. It adds lasting, long-term value. Now, picture the dark, slick oil lubricating a set of rapidly spinning gears within a machine. That oil is your revenue expenditure. It is the day-to-day fuel, the minor repairs, the routine maintenance keeping the machine running right now in this current accounting period. The oil doesn't upgrade the machine, it just stops it from breaking down today. Visualizing this stark physical difference between the anvil and the oil grounds you immediately when the accounting terminology gets abstract, the numbers get confusing, and the exam clock is relentlessly ticking down.
So, I leave you with this final provocative question. Are your answers generic, or are you proving true mastery by connecting the concepts? Today, we synthesize this entire masterclass into 3 core memorable pillars. First, the 3-step question scan to instantly decode what the examiner wants. Second, the paragraph balance formula to perfectly blend facts, application, and long-term impact, avoiding the traps that Alex and Sam fell into. And third, the last 5 minutes review checklist to ensure your evaluations are actually justified. Crushing your Cambridge exams requires this exact kind of consistent, elite strategy. I want you to take this framework, dive into your next past paper, and prove your mastery. Now, before you go, I need you to take action. If you want to absolutely dominate your exams, hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at acetheexam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell right now so you never miss our future high-level exam hacks. And finally, go down to the comments right now and type in your exact target grade. Put it out there, commit to it, and let's get to work. I will see you in the next one.